Attrition is the process of which your strength has been worn down through a sustained harassment or attack. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, I ask this question to highlight a factor which can cause attrition. That factor everyone has been a part of, either blaming or being blamed. It is easy to blame something, i.e. a bad circumstance, a bad event, or a bad person. But what is harder is to accept responsibility for your own actions during and after that event. I will establish definitions for blame and responsibility, followed by a life lesson from the William Files about overcoming blame and taking responsibility. I will finish with the example for you to be proactive instead of reactive. The definition I got of blame and responsibility is from the International Journal of Choice Theory and Reality Therapy, titled Blame versus Responsibility. It is a mouthful. Blame is 1. To consider someone responsible, and 2. To criticize by finding fault with someone. This only needs 2 points to cover the whole scope of blame. Responsibility, however, has 4, but I'll only state 2 for this speech. 1. Accountability. The state, fact, or position of being accountable to somebody or someone. And 2. Having the authority to act and make decisions independently. These ideas tend to slap people in the face because we, as a generalization, want others to take responsibility for their actions that have caused us to feel a certain way. We disregard the fact that our own emotions and feelings are controlled by our thoughts. PsychologyToday.org does state that everyone thinks of themselves first. There is no harm in that because naturally we're our own first point of reference in this world. Everything is neutral in life. We choose to feel certain ways to different events that happen in life, but they are just events until we attach emotion to them. Allow me to explain using a situation in my life. I just finished a 4-year apprenticeship. I moved on, got a job as a CAD designer. It was nice to finally be on good money, but it was a boring job. It had been just over a year, and I went around to my boss's house to have a drink with him. Long story short, a couple of hours later, he tried strangling me. I got there, I IC'd. Then after the cops took me home, I got into a fight with my family. And a couple of days later, I got handed a notice of termination. A lot of events that happened that night, and there was plenty of reasons for me to place the blame on my boss for being such an aggressive drunk and a dick. The one person I needed to blame stared back at me in the mirror. I took charge of that whole situation after a little bit of bitching. I embraced it. I accepted responsibility, and I thought to myself, what do I need to do to move from this point forward? I made a plan and followed that through. Then a couple of months later, I got hit by a car. Empowering different choices. The hard part. Because this involves moving away from the egocentric model, me, and stepping outside of yourself into the ethnocentric model of me and you. It is about becoming proactive instead of reactive. We all have the capacity to make choices. In the article on choice theory, it states, to make those choices do require a spirit of personal responsibility. We all will face times when life is tough, life is difficult, Life at times king hits us, then hog ties us, and leaves us there. But that is fine. You are not the only one to experience this. What makes a noticeable difference are the choices we make, and asking yourself, am I going to allow myself to stay in this space, or am I going to fight back and appreciate this event? Appreciation is the acknowledgement of positive aspects. Everything in this world has both positive and negative aspects. As I say to my children when they are talking about being upset because of someone else, I ask, are you going to let others hold the remote control of your life? Or are you going to take it back and control how you feel? I chose the blame and responsibility as my research topic because I've used the blame choice many times in my life. But that was until I got enlightened by a Toyota Prius. Then I started taking full responsibility of my life. I gave the definitions of blame and responsibility that I found. I used a personal event in which it seems to be common practice of mine, but life is full of lessons, so it is difficult not to use them. My final point was about everyone's great potential to make choices to be proactive instead of reactive. There is great power in holding the remote control to your life. My final question is, what are you going to be your choices in life from this moment forward?